All right, so here we go. Welcome everyone. Welcome to All In on Real Estate. My name is Aaron Goins, and the reason I started this meetup is because when I was in the military, no one in my circle talked about real estate. A lot of times they talked about things like thrift savings plan, which is like an IRA, debt. They talked about stocks and bonds and other money financial things, but no one really talk about real estate. And a lot of times when people deploy, you see a lot more Dodge Charger pickup trucks on the road. And I want to have a platform where we talk about all things about real estate, different forms of real estate, and so people can learn about real estate and build wealth for them and their families. So I am very, very excited for our guest speakers. I love to have couples as guest speakers. So I'm gonna have the founding REI goddess and the deal hunter on here. So welcome guys. Please introduce yourself to everybody. And yeah.
All right, sure. So we're Monick and Peter Halms. As Aaron was saying, I'm the founder of Real Estate Investor Goddesses. So do two things. On one side, we invest in real estate. Mostly how we do that is we bring groups of investors together to purchase larger commercial properties. We have a multifamily, mobile home park, RV park, and
industrial,
and lots of industrial, single family portfolio. So we have a variety of different things. Over 1,300 doors in 10 states, and actually 11. Right?
11.
We just did Ohio.
Yeah.
So that's what we do on the real estate side, and then Real Estate Investor Goddesses was a group that I created to help women invest in real estate. My big, hairy, audacious goal is to have 1 million women create financial freedom through real estate investing. And that's me. Yeah, so Pete.
And I am Pete, the Deal Hunter Halm, originally from down under.
Yes.
And I'm going out there in the wilds of America looking for that elusive cash flow. So what I do is I find people that we can strategically partner with who are really good at what they do in different markets. And we bring our groups of investors together into these deals. And so far it's been a fun journey. It's been great. We have a lot of happy investors and we're having a lot of fun doing it together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Peter, what part of Australia are you from?
I'm from Sydney.
Okay.
Came over here a long time ago. Actually, it was originally in the late 80s. And but I've been here permanently since early 90s. And it's been quite a wild ride, doing many different things, but didn't get into real estate until I guess Monique and I met back in 2006. I had a property, she had a property, and we were both renting them out. And then we started watching those shows on TV, Flip This House and all that, HGTV. And we said, hey, that looks fun. We can do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she was like...
After the 2008, houses were on sale.
Yeah.
So we started then.
We started that one house at a time. And it was fun. It was fun flipping. And, you know, Monique could design. I'll have all these great interior designs, and we'd go through the whole process. It was just a learning process, and fortunately, the first flip we made money.
We always made money.
We always made money, but as the prices were rising, it became harder and harder to make that same amount of money, and it was always like working a job. We were using cash. And we'd spend all our cash, and then at the end of a project, we get money back, and we get to fill the coffers again and do it again.
We didn't know what we didn't know, so we didn't know about hard money. We didn't know about.
Didn't know. Yeah.
We just knew about conventional loans, and then all cash. You know, paying all cash, and because we were both self-employed, it was hard to get a conventional loan. Unfortunately, neither of us are service members, no VA loans for us. and we had to, all we knew was to do all cash. So we were buying these houses here in LA, all cash and doing that. And at the end we were like, oh, hard money, there's this thing. So like we only did one of those. And then we got into syndication. So bringing groups of investors together. We really started to scale and grow.
Yeah. One of my highlights in my military career was going to Australia. I went to Brisbane years ago, and that was a fun time. I was there for a couple of weeks, but I had a great time being in Brisbane. So and I always tell people, man, if they have, especially for military people, I mean, they can actually fly to Australia for under $100.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, like somebody, like I'm in Washington State, I can fly what we call a hop from Washington State to Hawaii, and then I can catch a flight from Hawaii to Australia. So, um, and
You didn't do that.
you gotta be military. You gotta have them perks, the military perks, right?
Well, you are putting your lives in the line, so I guess you get that.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not a, you got really got a plan. You really got a plan. It's not just it can vary, but if
Right.
everything goes right, it can be under $100 back
Right.
into.
It's incredible.
When were you in Brisbane?
This was 2011. 2011.
11. Okay.
Yeah. That year I went to Turkey, place called Diego Garcia in Australia and America Samoa. So all in one year. So it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Matter of fact, we went from America Samoa to Australia, and that was a lot of fun. So going back to real estate, why? What's the challenges of a couple like yourself working together in real estate? And it really intrigues me.
Well, I think it's like anything. I mean, you find that with couples, the biggest problem that couples usually face is always boils down to financial. And that's, when you're getting into real estate, you're dealing with finances, and especially if it's your own money and you're sharing a bank account, then things can get pretty tricky. So you've got to be very comfortable and understand where the other person's coming from, and you've got to get on the same page.
Yeah. So also, I think another challenge, this is one of the challenges we had up front. We did not have clear roles about what we were doing. So we're both doing the same thing and stepping on each other's toes, and we each had to be involved in every decision, and
Yeah.
didn't always make sense, or we didn't always agree.
Yeah. You did what? Without me? Without consulting?
Or we have to consult, but everything was a discussion. What really helped was when we sat down, we read the book, The E-Myth, Michael Grover. Anybody, if you haven't heard it, if you're doing real estate investing as a business, and
yeah,
like anything, so the E-Myth is just it's why I think the subtitles like why most entrepreneurs fail and what you can do about it. But one of the things that I got from that is because people come into business because they like to do the thing that they're doing, but they don't set it up like a business, and they don't think about what are the different roles. So we went and, as part of an exercise in that, created an org chart for our business. And at first, it was all of the various roles. It was him or I, but at least we had separate roles. So we weren't doing the same exact thing. So before we're both just all doing everything. And it was very muddled and messy. But when it became clear, okay, this is my lane and I take care of that stuff. And that's what I like and I'm better at. So I do this stuff. And this is what you like and you're better at, you do this stuff. So we had these clear roles. And now as we've grown our businesses, and we're partners in both the education side and the real estate side, now there are different people that have taken on those roles. So we were able to cross our names off that list and put in other people's names, but it's always clear who does what and how decisions are made, and that made all the difference in the world. So I think one of the things for couples is to get really clear on who's good at what, who likes to do what, and split up what job duties and responsibilities everyone will handle.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I hear that all the time about putting systems in place so that it's clear what's whose responsibility is who. I think that's very, very important. So I guess communication is a big thing between you two to make things work.
Yeah, you have to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
Speak well, disagree agreeably. You can disagree agreeably. You we don't have to like fight and get below the belt, right? So there's a way of like, we don't always agree for sure.
Yeah, you have to pick your battles.
But it's
Definitely.
not. But it's not a battle. It's not a disagreement. It's just we disagree, but we have a conversation. It doesn't have to get never nasty or anything or personal. And also, it's important to, and we're not perfect at this. This is still a work in progress, but figure out how to split this is a real estate issue and this is a personal issue, and how do we keep those things separate so that and clean as much as possible, and also create enough separation so that work isn't happening 24/7.
Yeah, as a couple working in this business, it's very easy to be in bed, and then it's late at night, and then all of a sudden someone has an idea for work. And like, hey, why don't we try this? Well, we've learned that no, we don't talk business in bed.
Yeah.
We take our hats off at night, but it still happens. When he comes in the bedroom, I'm in there and I might be just listening to some music or something. She'll come in and say, hey, guess what? And I'll just give her the look. No. You can wait till the morning.
He says, not in bed. And
not in bed.
But then he'll come, he'll do the same thing.
And I'll do the same thing. I'll say, Monick, guess what? And she'll look at me. Oh, okay. But can I just tell you one thing? Just one thing?
Wait till morning.
Okay. All right. Yeah, boundaries.
Yeah, I that's one thing that I that encourages me when I see couples working. I would love to see that more. But I know that it's a balance. It can go. I think we've seen enough couples go the wrong way, where business and personal come together, and now people are getting divorced, or their marriage is going downhill, or their boyfriend girlfriend, and now it's ugly. I've seen business ventures where it got really ugly really soon because it wasn't a cutoff. Everything was intertwined together, and I think that's great to hear about how you guys had that stopping point, because yeah, you're right. Sometimes the light bulb never goes off. and it's always on. It can be very annoying to the other person, and yeah, or that person always talking about real estate when like, look, babe, can we do something else? You know what I'm saying? So I definitely understand that. Understand that. I really respect that too.
Yeah, and we want to talk about, because we both love real estate, right? We love what we do. Right. So we're both passionate about it. Also, one of the things that we've learned and we help other couples do is figure out how to speak each other's language and what motivates the other person. So we're all speaking English, right? But there are 4 main different processing styles that people have and different things that motivate them. So some people are very action oriented. So they don't need a lot of detail. They're very instinctual, and they'll, that's how they'll move. So other people have blueprints. They want to see all the detail. They need to know everything. It has to make sense, and it has to be very prescribed. Other people, they're very like heart-based and nurturers. It's about how it affects other people. That's what motivates them. And then there's the knowledge types that are very cerebral. It has to be, and they like to go very, very, very deep into understanding something, and it just needs to make sense, be a no-brainer. But they like to learn, and they take the longest to make decisions. Generally, they need to understand everything, make sure they don't make mistakes. So it's important to understand who your partner is, so that when you're making decisions together, you understand what motivates them, what are the values that are driving their decision making, so that you can make sure that everyone's values and needs are met. And that's what we do with each other. Luckily, we're pretty similar in how we process and think about things, but we have other people that we work with that are different and might be more. We're both kind of, actually we take a lot of instinctive. Um, we're fast decision makers, but also very heart based. And then we work with people that are just, they go really into the detail and go deep, and that's not us necessarily, but it's important for us to have those people that we're working with as well.
Yeah.
So because that's not,
You want to have all of the 4 people on your team. So it's kind of like if you've got a document and you may not understand it as a contract or something, but if you've got a lawyer who can read it and understand it and explain it to you in the Cliff Notes version, then that's great to have that person on your team. So that's how we've done it with our coupledom, how we kind of work together, and we know that there are certain things that don't work for either of us, and that's why we have people on our team who can fulfill those functions and help us.
Yeah, we try to stay as much as possible in our own zones of genius, and then have people on our team that are working in theirs.
Yeah, I think that I just love this, and that's why I love to have couples on here, because I know that, I mean, people, I mean, even myself, I mean, we have people who want to have their spouses be part of what they're doing. They have a passion for something, passion for real estate. I want my spouse to do the same thing, but some spouses are not keen to do it. They don't want to go down that route, and it can be frustrating. And sometimes, it can go the wrong route. I know that I can't speak for my attendees, but I know that, if I'm doing it, why can my spouse do it? And sometimes you got to have that separation between the two. Sometimes it works out. But I just love everything you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
So, so I did a little research, and I went to the founding member of the Young Gardeners website, and I was very, very impressed. I see the clothing line. I see the just all the stuff about you, and I was like, wow, look how many podcasts she's been on. Wow, like she's been on many podcasts. So, how has that helped your business out?
Yeah. So it's a lot, because we bring in investors, right, into our business. It definitely help, and it's part of, other people will be investing their money into our deals. So there are 2 ways of doing it. You either are like going after it and kind of dialing for dollars. It's a lot easier when you attract it, right? It's after them going hunting for it than to be an attractor to it.
Right.
So part of what we've done, and I guess I'm more of the face of the business, is build a brand that will attract people that resonate with what our philosophy, our mission, how we show up, and that in attracting that those types of people, they'll come to us. And so as I don't actually go around hunting for podcasts. Like, luckily, I'm putting stuff out there all the time, and people come to invite me. Like, I'm so grateful that you've invited us to be here today. And but I pretty much always say yes, because I'm so passionate about helping people to get in this game, to like own their futures and own their lives. And with real estate, it is in this gift of like this passive income that we give ourselves. It helps us to not just have money, but it helps us to have time. And I believe that when we have more time, and when you have enough time and money, then you're going to put your time to doing the things you were born to do. That what I think I believe in higher power, what God placed us on this earth to do. But a lot of us don't do that because we feel like we have to go hunt for the dollar, and to make sure our needs are met. So we're not sharing our gifts. And I think that the world needs us be sharing our gifts. The world needs us to be doing the things we were born to do. What drive, like sing the songs of our soul. And so I love like being able to get out there and inspire other people to say, hey, this is possible for you. You can do this. Even it doesn't matter like from wherever you are, there's a path for you to get into this game, to start building passive income, to make your money work for you, so you don't have to work for your money. So then you can go off and do the things that you were born to do. And so going out there, people will either resonate with that and with me, and they'll come forward, or not, and that's okay too. It's like there's some people like, oh, I don't like that you use the word goddesses. I don't like this and that. It's like, okay, you're not my people. That's all right, right?
Yeah.
It's okay that not everyone will resonate with who I am and or who we are, but but the ones that do, then we have this. Then what we do is we attract this incredible community of like-minded people that that want to do real estate, but often want to do it for more. All right, it's not just about the money; it's about what that money will allow them to do in the world.
Yeah,
Right.
and as Monick said, there are different communities out there, and there's different avenues, and people can take whichever one that they resonate with. It just so happens that the group of people that we've attracted in this community, or Monick has attracted, is basically, you know, heartfelt people who want to be in community. And there's not competition. It's like we're all in this to raise everyone up.
Yeah, it's
So
an abundant universe,
Yeah.
right? There's no scarcity. So
yeah.
So I have a question for both of you guys. So the same question, but so I met a lady today at my church, and she was talking to me about how she's her husband's in the military. She's moving to Texas, and I asked her, you know, what is, you know, or have you used a VA loan? She said no. He said my husband's getting the tail end of his time in the military, and you know, and so I went down a list and just told her, you know, what she can do with her benefits. Um, what advice would you give somebody who is interested in real estate? I know there's so many niches they can get into, but what should be the first thing they should think about as an individual, as a couple, when they want to get into real estate?
yeah, I'll start. I think the first thing is to get really clear on what is your vision, like, and it's important to do that as a couple too, individually and as a couple. So what is your I call it your mission, your vision, your values. What's the vision for your lives together? Where do you want? Because as you were saying, there are a lot of different ways, and a lot of different niches, a lot of different ways to play in this real estate game. But where do you want it to take you? Because depending on what your ultimate goal is, different paths will make more sense than others. And depending on how you want to play, right? So there's where do I want it to take me, but then also how do I want to get there? I like to talk about it's like a vacation. So you're going on vacations, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go on vacation. What's my first step? And so the question is, well,
depends where you want.
Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Like, where are you going, right? Because if you're vacationing at the next town over, it's a different first step than we're going to Italy tomorrow, and like right now it's like, okay, we have to go, but then there's like, do we have to take COVID tests and what, it's like there are different steps versus if we're going to go to Antarctica, right? All those will require different steps because it's the goal. And when you're talking about real estate, it's like, what is your goal? Is your goal to retire from your job, to do something, to like create a nonprofit, or to have more time with your family, to travel around the world? Or is it to, just keep doing what you want to do, but pay less taxes? Or you want to set yourself up for retirement, or depending on what your ultimate destination is, that's going to dictate your path. And then you want to ask, like, how do you want to travel? How do you want to play in this game? How do you want? So if we're, okay, we're going to go to Italy, but do we want to bike around Italy? Do we want to cruise? Do we want to do like river cruises? Do we want to, we're going to hike around the countryside, right? It's like, how are we going to do this? And in real estate, it's like, do you want to take an ugly duckling building and make it beautiful for, and And that's what you want to do. Do you like the idea of like having tenants, or do you like not want to do that at all and just be very passive in your investing? Do you want to just take, and like be on the lending money like a private money lender and just have your money working and you're not doing any of that? So there are a lot of different ways you can do it, but how do you want to play, I guess, is figuring that out, getting clarity on the where you want to go, how you want to play, and then what resources do you have right now that you can tap into, because you need to know where you are now to help you to get to where you want to go. So just getting a sense of your resources being money, of course, but also time, relationships, education, experience. And however much or little of those you have, it's okay, because you can partner with other people that have whatever you're lacking, but you need to know where you are so you can figure out how to bridge that gap. So it's that combination of that clarity about your ultimate destination, the how you want to play, the resources you have available for you, and then mixing that all in with like creativity. That's how but getting that clarity first and all of those is the first step.
And most people don't know what they don't know. So when you first started talking about the lady who was looking to use her get a VA loan, my first thought was, well, sounds like she's probably going to get a house as a house to live in. And then it made me think, well, a lot of people think real estate investing is buying your own property. And it's not. It's not. That's buying a liability. Real estate investing is buying assets. So I
put
think
money into your pocket every month.
I think for me, to answer your question, the first thing is education, because most people don't know what they don't know. So just get some education first. And then, because a lot of people say, well, I want to take action. I want to buy properties. I want to manage properties. They don't know what they're getting into. But I think get education. This is what a lot of people do, or this is the way I see a lot of people should do it. Get some education, start investing passively to see how other people are doing it, like invest in someone else's larger deal to see how it's run, and then figure out where you want to go from there. But take it slow, get education. There are a lot of resources out there online, plenty of mentors. So
groups. Well, we're talking to the choir here.
Yeah,
you guys are here.
Yeah.
So you guys get it. You understand about showing up and what that all means.
Yeah, absolutely. I said that to her, Peter, because I said, how about you buy? I think they had a couple kids. I said, how about you buy a duplex? So you can have somebody who can pay part of your mortgage. And she was like, really? I can do that? I said, yeah. You can go up to 4 units with the VA loan. She looked at me. She was like, really? So I wrote down her number. We'll see if she calls me. But I told her, I said, I'd love to sit down with her and her husband and try to help them out in that course. I had somebody on my clubhouse room yesterday. I told the same thing. So I'm waiting for somebody to call me back to, tell them about the advantages of the VA loan, things like that.
But, down.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. We'll see if they call me or not. But I love everything you guys were saying. And one thing you said, Monique, that got me was that you guys said you guys have never you guys always made money, right? But
no.
Right.
Not every deal is made, but flipping, we never lost money. But I wish I could say that everything we've done has made tons of money, but unfortunately, it's not true.
I mean, we've had some close shaves where things were looking bad, but we just kept fighting, and we came out okay.
Yeah, we haven't lost money yet, knock on wood. But there's something we do have a couple deals that are not making money.
Yeah,
right.
Especially with COVID.
Yeah. I mean, there's situations where tenants can't get evicted and tenants don't want to pay. Yeah. So, that's a tough issue.
Yeah. So that leads into my next question. I think a lot of times people see yourselves and see some of the people who are very successful in real estate, very successful in business, entrepreneurs, and think that, okay, well, I can do the same thing. It's going to be easy. And then some people get into it and they're not making money. They, oh man, being an entrepreneur sucks. It sucks because they think that they're going to make money fast, quickly. And real estate is more of a long game.
Mhm.
So
Not a get rich quick scheme.
right. So what is your advice for people who, want to get into it, but they might have failed or something. They might have had a bad deal, or things aren't going well. What kind of resiliency, would you guys like to tell to somebody who failed at a deal and and feeling like should I move on to real estate, or should I just do something else, or should I just stick with my 9 to 5 because I know I'm getting a guaranteed paycheck?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there's always a new shiny object in real estate, and you do get a lot of people who try one thing and they'll have a little bit of success or not, and then they'll think, okay, well, let's say I tried single family. Oh, self-storage looks really interesting. Let me jump into that. And you got people who jump in to the whole education thing, and they learn about this and then they never pull the trigger and actually do anything, and then they go and learn about something else. So I think with anything, it's perseverance. I saw people who jumped into multifamily, and we were doing all these multifamily deals, and I saw all these other people and they were not doing anything, and I figured they're just either very conservative or very slow or something. But then I see them now a couple of years later, and they're doing amazingly. And all it took was just perseverance, dedication, time, and then you can be successful at whatever. It's like anything in life, I think. You just have to keep going at it. And you're always going to have one step forward, 2 steps back. It's going to happen with anything. So I think real estate, you got to keep at it. You agree?
It's learning when you've failed, right? It's feedback, and it's something to learn from, lean into. Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx, and she's a billionaire now. She, growing up, her dad at the dinner table asked her every night, and I think it's the most brilliant question: what did you fail at today? What did you fail at today? And so she was like, she had to like try hard enough and like mess up every day. And so she had an answer for her dad, that what she failed at, and that helped her to learn that failure is just part of the process. Like, it's on the stepping stone. It's a stepping stone to success, right? You fail forward. So where we're at, but that does not mean that every deal, every decision, everything we've made has worked out the way we wanted to. No, far from it. It's just that we haven't quit. We've kept coming back. So the people who are successful, they've just failed more and they've kept getting up again. And the people who are not successful just fell down and stayed down. And that's the difference between success and failure. And so we just try to fail fast, but we also try to fail small. This is one of the things that I learned from a mentor. It's like, fail small, fail smaller. so like, do kind of test things small enough so like you can like go all in and then like have a big failure, which you can do that. It's just a lot more painful. But one of the things I learned is like to try, it's like, okay, how can I test this enough that I can really test it, but fail it small. So that's the other thing I would suggest is like, you don't have to put all your money into like a whole deal. It depends on how much you have, right? But how can you do this so that you're mitigating risk, or it's a smaller failure or feedback, and then you iterate from there.
Brilliant. Love both of you guys' answers. Brilliant. So Peter, you put the hat on. So I want to ask a question about the hat, man. So where did the idea and the hat and everything come from?
Well, being from Australia, I grew up with there was the Crocodile Dundee, and then there was the Crocodile Hunter, who had his TV show, and poor guy got stung by
Stingray.
Stingray and died. It's a terrible story. So you have these two big influences,
Iconic, yeah.
and then we were on a trip in Belize with a couple of our mentors back in 2016. Robert Helms and Russell Gray, they're the Real Estate Guys radio show. They have a podcast, and we became kind of groupies of theirs, and we joined a mentorship program with them. And one of the things they're talking about in terms of being successful in real estate syndication is you have to be able to stand out. You have to have some kind of brand that can basically allow you to create something and then be seen as that person doing those things, and grow your own network. And Russ Gray said to me, he looked at me, he said, you should really play on that whole Australian thing. And he just said, why don't you become like the deal hunter? That's not a knife. This is a knife. That's not a deal. This is a deal. So I started playing on that, and
you got the hat.
I went and bought the hats, and these are actually alligator teeth I got online from Florida. They're not crocodile teeth from Australia. But I started wearing the hat to different real estate networking events, and people started to notice me. And not that I really like, it's not really my style to be wearing this hat, but it's like I put it on, and then people knew who I was. I come in the room and they remembered me. And I, have that presence online as well. And first couple of syndication deals we did, I used my persona as the deal hunter, and we started to grow our network based on that. And she was the real estate investor goddess.
Yeah, I didn't need a costume because being a Black woman, I stand out enough.
Like the first event of theirs we went to back in 2016, there were 100 or so.
120 people.
120 people in the room, and I think there were 9 women.
8.
8 women. Okay, she remembers it well.
It was very impactful.
Yeah. So we came away from there, and we're trying to figure out how we can create our business and start networking and basically find deals, find investors, find money, find deals, and have that whole thing, all the wheels turning. And Monick just said, I just had this divine download, like I'm going to be the real estate investor goddess.
No, not the real estate investor. Creating real estate investor goddesses. Plural.
Yeah.
I'm not the goddess. I'm the founder, and all the women are goddesses. So it's a community of goddesses that are doing real estate. Community of women. So we all have at least a drop of the divine. So, but it came as this divine download. And after that event where there were 120 people, but only 8 women. So it's like,
and it's still, there are more women in the field 5 years later, but still, if you look at events that you see, these online events and summits and forums and all that, and pretty much you can still see majority men.
Are all the speakers
couple of women.
Yeah, they're usually white men.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like my friend Ashley Wilson. That's why she made her book, The Only Woman in the Room, because of that. She said that it was like, 300 people at a conference, and only, I think it was only 10, like 1,000 people in attendance, only 10 women, so that's why made her start her book. The Only Woman in the Room. So I know Claudia has read it. Claudia loved it, and things like that. So I got 2 more questions for you guys before I open up to attendees. Number one is something I struggle with: time management. How important is that for your business?
Incredibly. So
it's the scarcest resource, time.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things that we've done. One is, there's a there's a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And there's this question, what's the one thing that so doing will make everything else easier and necessary? So doing that, asking the one thing question, focusing on the one thing versus most people will have a long to-do list of things, but there's no thought of which of all of the to-do items actually move the needle. So there's a lot of busy work that people are like, oh my gosh, I need the most perfect website, right? Like your website has to be perfect. I can't do anything without this perfect website. It's like, it's not that. That doesn't. That's like, that's not gonna. Or I have to have the perfect business card, right? They're gonna spend like all this time like creating a business card, and it's like, but all this energy into it. It's like most people aren't even looking at business cards right these days. So like there's things that you can do, but then there's things you do that actually move the needle. So I try to focus on what's that one thing that will most move the needle. And then I also like a couple years ago I read this book called the Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and one of the main things I got out of there was the importance of being in your zone of genius. So like staying in there, you guys have 4 main zones, right? So there's a zone of incompetence. So that's the things that you're not good at all. You don't know how to do, you don't do it well. Then there's a zone of competence, where it's like you can do it, but so can anybody else. Like you might be competent at filing, or you might be competent at doing, right? But it's like that's and then there's the zone of excellence, which you're very good at it, but it's different from your zone of genius. And your zone of genius is where when you're in it, like time stands still, you can do it forever. Like that's really where you soar. And to truly live an excellent life, you want to spend all your time in your zone of genius, and like no time in your zone of incompetence or competence. And then the hardest is to get out of your zone of excellence too, but getting other people that are doing, unless it's something you want to learn how to do. So I've been learning to play the piano this year. I'm still in my zone of incompetence and competence, but I have to go through that in order to get to excellence, right? And so unless it's something you want to learn to do and you want to master eventually, then you go through those levels. Otherwise, like I don't need to do things that I'm incompetent at, or even just competent at, or even just excellent at. I want to just be in my zone of genius. So I started to think, okay, like how can we bring in the team and have team members that are in their zones of genius, and then I can stay more and more, and we can stay more and more in our own zones of genius, and have other people working with us that are in theirs. So that has really helped us, like bringing in that team and creating systems and having it work largely, having our business be able to work without us. Like we're going for 3 weeks to Europe tomorrow, and I'm pretty much done. I mean, I told my team, like you can handle it if you know how to reach me if you really have to, but most of they're off doing their thing. We don't have to be working. And so I've created it so that our time is our own. When I do work, I'm doing the things that are most moving the needle, and for the most part, I'm doing things that are in my zone of genius.
Awesome. Okay. So my final question is, what is next? I know you guys are on a vacation, but what's next for you in real estate? Is anything big you guys want to do or accomplishing like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we've actually started a foundation recently. Basically, we want to help educate more and more people. I mean, beyond our reach.
Yeah, and more in like underrepresented communities.
Yeah.
So trying to get that word out there, educate, and get more people in underrepresented communities doing real estate, owning their own communities to the extent possible. So that's something that is new that we're doing.
Yeah.
Also, we are doing a virtual retreat in October for couples, real estate investors, soulmates. So, my focus had been on women, and I realized not so many women, they're in couples, right? And
And we get the questions all the time. It's like, as you said, Aaron, before, like, you know, how can I get my spouse or my partner or my whatever involved? They don't really want to. How do I get them? What do I do? I'm scared. How do I approach it? So we get this all the time, and especially with deals, when we're bringing deals to passive investors, you know, it's very common for the person who's excited about it to say, you know, I got to run it by my husband or my girlfriend or whatever. So we have, through trial and error over a long time, figured out ways that can help people bridge that gap. And you know, what we teach in our Soulmates Retreat is how not only to grow in wealth, but to grow in love as well.
Yeah, so, it can go a lot deeper. So it's not just how do you work together, but how do you use this process to grow your income and your intimacy. Like you can use this process as a path to go deeper in love. So that's what we're doing. We're really excited about that. We had one live in Belize a couple years ago. Last year, COVID, we didn't do it, so we're doing another one in October virtually.
This one virtually,
yeah. And then I'm also in the process of putting together a fund, a goddess fund, so which would be for investors, Reggae Plus fund, investors investing for as little as $1,000, geared towards women, investing majority women-run real estate projects. So those are some of our exciting things that we're doing.
Yeah, I would love to, especially learn more about the couples retreat and maybe just.
And I can put the information in the chat.
Yeah, please do, please.
Yeah. Let's just do that.
So we come to the time where we ask, attendees ask questions. I always have one person ask the first question, but I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to add next week's guest speaker ask the first question.
Oh, who's next week's guest speaker?
So next week's guest speaker, can you please, if you have a question you want to ask, please ask. Edmund.
I didn't want to toot my own horn there. Monica, Monique, I got to ask you, I'm taking a look at your LinkedIn profile and it says that you went to McGill University in Montreal. So I got to ask you, are you a Montreal native? And if so, what, or if not, what led you to Montreal, and what led you back to LA or to LA?
Are you Canadian? Is that what you're asking? You're just curious.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Okay. I was like, that sounds like a question a Canadian would ask. I'm not actually Canadian. It's funny. One of the things that I got when I was in Canada, it's like Canadians, they just know, like when any connection to Canada, like that person, that actor, oh, he's Canadian, or she's Canadian. It's awesome. I loved Canada and I loved McGill. I love Montreal, but I grew up in Washington, D.C. My mom worked at the World Bank, and they had this deal where kids of employees who went outside of the country for school got 75% of their tuition and board paid for. So I wanted to find a school outside of the U.S. Canada, it's hard to beat. They call it like the Harvard of, McGill was hard to beat, and it's close. And so that's how I ended up there. And I loved it. Yeah. I'm trying to get back there this year for a reunion, but I can't get back into the country.
Yeah.
It's a a woman shouldn't tell her age, but whatever. It's my 25th college reunion year this year. I know.
Don't tell.
I know. I'm old. I don't feel old, but that number is old. So I was trying to get back there, but you guys are still pretty locked down.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. 1031, go ahead and ask a question, please.
Oh, am I allowed to talk now? Okay.
Wow.
Monique and Peter, great story and great journey. I was just wondering, I was following you, how like when you were first starting up, you set up like a task org chart and then started to define your roles and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
How was that like morphed? And what role have you found that there wasn't originally on your org chart that's now like your most valuable role? Like what like lessons learned, or what role do you think is that you didn't originally have like tasked out has become part of your org chart and is your most valuable?
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Very
it's a
interesting
good-
question,
Good
Kenneth. Yeah.
question. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say, I was a graphic designer in the entertainment industry for over 20 years. So Monique would always turn to me and say, well, you're doing the, you do the design, you do the website, you do all of that stuff and all that. But pretty much now, I don't do any of that because I realized that I was always a perfectionist and everything had to be just right. Well, now I realize, like, taking my ego out of it, and I'll very easily say to Monique, because Monique can make a quick decision on something, and a lot of times she'll say, I'm going to delegate that, give that to someone else to do. And so pretty much it's morphed, because as speaking as a reformed perfectionist, it was very hard for me to delegate. And Monique has taught me the art of delegating. So pretty much that's one of the things that was a big part of my job, which I don't really have anything to do with. I'll just look at something and just go, yes, no. And another thing, Monique is a recovering attorney. So she was a corporate litigator for how many years? 9 years?
Yeah, almost 10 years.
Yeah. So what's interesting is when it comes to contracts, I'm the one who goes through the contracts, and I even write contracts.
He's the detail person.
So I can do that. I do all the legal stuff. I deal with the lawyers.
And then we get a lawyer to oversee
Yeah.
it. But
So I'll do stuff. I'll draw up a contract or whatever and give it to a lawyer or speak to someone and fine tune it and all that, make sure everything's right. But it's interesting how that was her big thing before, and now no longer. I do that. So we have had some roles that have switched and morphed over the years. Because if you would have said, well, what do you do? Well, I'm the design guy, the creative guy, and she's the lawyer, the legal detail person. Well, no longer, wasn't really our zone of genius. And it's like if you say, what do you want to, as a kid, what did you want to do when you grow up? A lot of times we're not doing the things that we dreamt of when we were kids, but we've become accustomed to doing that, and we've put that's our wheelhouse, that's our sign. This is what you do. Well, not necessarily.
yeah. So I just want to make sure I heard you correctly too. So you would ask, is there something that was on that we didn't have on the list that I'm now doing? That was a question, right?
Or you found that maybe you need now. It might be you guys doing it. Or you might have like pizza delegated it out. Like, because you mentioned you never used hard money before. Now you have like a finance arm, I guess, or something like that. So is there a role that you didn't see when you were just doing it yourselves that you found out that like either partnering or professional services that is vital to you guys now?
Yeah. So when we were doing the org chart, we're really looking big picture. So it's kind of, it's like admin and financials and the strategic and marketing, sales and marketing. So those are kind of like the main channels of pretty much any business. And so it was basically those types of roles that are part of every business that we had laid out. So it wasn't so much that there were roles that we didn't conceive of that we're now doing. It's more in we might not have seen the specific things, the specific ways in which we might be working right now, but they all still fall within those main categories.
Come on, Claudia, I know you got a question. Anybody has a question for him, so come on, anybody can ask questions.
I just have something to just mention. So you mentioned, thank you for being here. And I love meetings like this because, it's like you guys speak my language and everything you say is like, I love it. I'm just like observing it. You mentioned so many things about like the books you've read, like, Son of Genius and all these, points you're making. They're great, right? So I think it comes out to like personal development, right?
Uh-huh.
Like gathering all this knowledge, knowing all this stuff. And having mentors and coaches and working with other like people who have been there before and everything like that. I feel like when I've got more into this like real estate field, like area, there's a lot of like personal development, a lot of, and I don't know if it's because of the entrepreneurship aspect of it, right? Like trying to make, better yourself, move forward, progress, be successful. Because I mean, I come back from like, like, went to school, went to college, and like, and I feel like personal development wasn't that much of a, I don't know, a focus. But now being in real estate, I hear so much stuff, and I've like a lot of the books that you mentioned, like are recommended, right? Like the one thing, the disc personality type. Like I read a book that talked, in detail about the different types of personalities, and it's so interesting. And I just appreciate your knowledge and thank you for sharing. And that was just my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, I think, well, I believe that, this is a Tony Robbins quote that I believe that success is 20% strategy, 80% psychology. So 80% of somebody's success is what's going on between their ears. And so in our trainings, spend a lot of time focusing on that psychology piece, the mindset piece, because if that's not in alignment, doesn't matter what else you do, because there will be a lot of people that are learning and learning and learning and learning, and they never pull the trigger, they never go for it, they never do it, because they don't have the psychology in the right place. So I'm kind of a personal and professional development junkie. I've been working on that, like literally it's problematic, but I'm always learning and developing, reading books, doing classes, workshop, I have mentors and coaches, and I truly believe in that. And I believe that has been a big part of our success. And because there's always, it's like, okay, how do I get to the next level? I feel like every level, every extra digit, every every zero you add, right, every extra digit is a new mindset level. And so to get to, when you're like 6 figures in one level, 7 figures in another level, 8 figures in another, 9 figures, right? Each one is a new mindset level. And so you have to keep up leveling to get to success.
So also, guys, please look at the chat and see what this couple has provided for us. So they talk about a 2-day retreat, and you see the discount they have. So first of all, guys, thank you so much for doing this, and please, guys, take advantage of this. If you have a spouse, or you guys are into real estate together, or might not, maybe you want to get your spouse into it, please look into this. I'm definitely going to make a phone call after this and see if I can be, if my significant other want to be part of this.
Yeah, 197 for a 2 full day retreat. We pack it out there for 2 days. Yeah.
It's very life and relationship changing.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
In fact, there was someone I saw on here. Lisa Hilton was one of the people on here. She actually attended our in live in 2019.
Yeah,
Where's Lisa?
She doesn't believe
She
she was on
a minute ago. She wasn't a while ago.
Yeah.
One of our goddesses.
Yeah, she's a goddess. You're all the women here are goddesses.
Oh, you got something, Fred? I see you was unmute.
I was listening. It's funny because I think I heard at least part of your story a while back, and I was trying to figure out when. And I think it was on Bigger Pockets, and I looked, and it was like 3 years ago. So it was pretty much early on in my journey. And I think I picked up some nuggets just because I was trying to figure it out. It's fairly foreign, the real estate game, until you hear it, then you just can't unhear it, right? So it's like you have to continue to figure out how to push it. And I think the story just resonated. Also, I think Monick, you're Haitian background, right?
Yeah, I'm Haitian. Haitian?
So some of the things picked up, Haitian, yeah.
Oh.
So I picked up, I was like, as I was learning, I was like, oh wow, this is possible. But then you go back to your upbringing and realize it wasn't something that that was taught, which is fine because they didn't know either, right? Everyone was figuring it out, and then we're trying to figure out how to move it forward. So I guess my question is, a quote that I heard that I loved is, you leave your kids enough um, to do something, but not enough to do nothing. um, so,
Oh,
so
there you go. That's it.
yep. So what are you guys doing to I guess for your kids, or what are you doing to like for the next generation? Is it education? Is it something else? So just wondering how you're taking what you know and now helping that to grow.
Yeah, that's such a great question.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things. So one is we're investing for the kids, right? So there's some investment so we can,
And we have 3 kids,
yeah.
all different ages,
tw-
25, 22, and 12. And we're instilling into them the philosophies that we follow, which is, pay yourself first and make sure you have funds to invest.
Yeah, your money's working for you.
Yeah.
So getting them and getting their money invested, as well as investing for them so that they have, that they're able to go to school without debt and come out, without, and have a foundation from which to grow on, but also that they know how to fish. It's not just giving them fish, but making sure that they know how to fish and make their money work for them, so they're going to do again what they were born to do, instead of having to do something just for a paycheck. And I see
Yeah,
Eric
no, that's awesome.
also from Haiti, so IT in the house.
Yeah, we here, new live.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, poor Haiti. Okay, so any other questions?
Next question. Alicia, go ahead and ask. Okay, she says, my video. Okay, wonderful. Okay. So Shamil, you got anything? I only got maybe 1-2 more questions before we go to the break, before we go to the roll call and breakout room. So Shamil, you got any question for him?
Hi, good night, guys. So my partner and I, we are new real estate investors. I'm sorry, I thought my camera was on for some reason. Yeah. More so, I feel like I am more interested than he is. How do I get him on the same page? Because I am the one that is all excited. As soon as I get information, I'm excited. I want to talk about it all the time.
Right.
And he's not.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
I think the first thing is, when you say real estate investing, most people think of actually having to physically be hands-on with a property, dealing with toilets, tenants, and termites. And I think that is a turnoff to a whole segment of the community. They don't want to have to deal with that. So it's first of all getting clear in yourself of what you want, and then finding out what they want and if there's some kind of common ground.
Yeah. And it might be that not everyone wants to play, right, in the game, and they might, but it's getting on the same page so that your communal money, maybe you agree, okay, this is the amount of money that I'm going to use to invest, and then you go off and you're investing, and if they don't want to do it. So that's possible too. It's not everyone is going to want to work together.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes it, and that's okay.
Yeah. We find with our investors who are couples that there's always one who's the point person, who always makes the calls, sends the emails.
Yeah.
And that's pretty general, I think, with anything in any relationship. There's the one person who takes that front,
takes the lead.
Yeah, and that's okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, it might be that you just decide, hey, I'm taking this chunk of money and I'm going to go off and invest, right? So we decided that this is my pot that I get to go and invest in.
Yeah.
If they don't want to, but just get on the same page that investing is important, that we want our money working for us. We want to create this legacy. We want to, you know, this like you're on the same page about the bigger goals, but in terms of who will do what. You know, because we have a lot of goddesses in our community where the woman is into it and she's doing it, and her partner isn't, and that's okay as long as he's like, okay, well, I don't want to do it, but like, here, you have my, but we're in agreement that you can do it, right? So,
and if it's possible, there can be some like a chunk of play money, like, you know, okay,
Yeah.
if you want to, that's your investing money, just go and try with that, see what happens. But what happens is once money goes out and comes back with friends,
they get more
with a
excited.
successful investments, like, oh, you mean you doubled down money in X? Wow. Why didn't you tell me about this before? Why didn't you help us do it again? I want to be part of this. So
yeah, and it helps too, like going to an event, like our couples event, like going together. Because oftentimes what will happen is one person goes off and they learn and they're drinking the Kool-Aid and they come back and they're like, oh my God, it's this thing, it's exciting, right? And then the other person, they haven't drunk the Kool-Aid, they didn't get this, you know, they weren't part of the whole thing.
yeah.
So they and you're excited, but you can't explain it to them in the same way as if they'd been there the whole time. So it helps to go to things together. It's like, here, come with me to this thing so that you can learn and you can hear it and you can get excited. Because that happened to us at our last retreat. So there were some of the goddesses in our community that had significant others that weren't very invested in it yet. They were kind of like, okay, you can go off, you can do it, whatever, but I'm not involved. And then they came to the retreat and then they're like,
and then we were told, oh yeah, well, I'm going to be sitting in there, I'm going to be learning, and my husband's going to be out by the pool drinking cocktails.
No, they weren't there.
And then they came in the room. It's like, whoa, okay, I'm really into this.
So they heard it and they got enrolled in, you know, what real estate could do for them.
Yeah.
And then they were excited, and then they were like, then they really wanted to show up in a different way. So that can help too. Just getting them to show up for
no, but he wants to do it. He is interested, but he wants me to take the lead on everything. And
that's fine.
Yeah. Or you're like, no, it's not fine.
No, because I want us to be on the same page.
Yeah.
But,
so part of it is just
having. It's a lot. So
it helps to have. We have money dates, right? A weekly money date where we'll sit and we'll talk about things, and so I mean we're talking a lot about business all the time, but then we have a personal money date where we get on the same page.
We look at what's gone out, what's come in, and
what we're doing,
what we're planning to do. So and then we'll start off the next week with, okay, so did last week go to plan? Did yes, this money got allocated to the kids for that, and this money, and do we still have enough money to do X next month?
So it's partly setting time aside so that you can you get on the same page, because it's very easy for life to get away from you, and all the other stuff happens and you don't have those important discussions. So put that in the calendar.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
So like I mentioned when I heard you guys on Bigger Pockets, I think early on, I think you guys were one of the few ones that, one of the ones that I remember talking about markets and identifying target markets and things along those lines. Although you invested locally, I think you were talking about target markets and the criteria for finding them.
Yeah.
Has anything changed after COVID, like the markets you were looking at?
Oh, have the markets I'm looking at changed?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the criteria have not changed, but market conditions change, right? And we're a lot of our focus is in industrial right now, so it's a different dependent industrial.
So we can just quickly talk about how that happened. That happened. We saw that the industry was in turmoil, that everything was in turmoil. So we had to think, well, we can't do things as normal. What are we going to do? Let's figure out an asset class, a real estate asset class that is actually thriving and working even amongst turmoil.
No, that was before that. It wasn't what got us into industrial. It was when we sold our multifamily in 2018, 2019, pre-COVID. But we sold it for such an outrageous. We sold some properties in Albuquerque. these apartment buildings that were not in great neighborhoods in Albuquerque, which is not a very strong market. But we sold it for such an outrageous price, which is great as a seller, but very scary as a buyer. I was like, ooh, this is the type of like competition we have. Like people were willing to pay that much for that asset. I was like, I don't like that. It's very much, it was multifamily was such a seller's market. I don't like being a buyer in a seller's market. So we started to say, what else is out there? And we were led to industrial.
Well, I was coming at it from a different point of view. It's like, what, industry is shut down, but essential industries were the ones that were totally needed. So we started looking at essential industries, food. So our first investment during COVID was we bought a property which was they're doing frozen foods and supplying Walmart and Target, and it's like they were selling their building. It was called a sale leaseback arrangement where the owner of the property sells the property to someone else and then leases it back. So they needed money to expand because their orders were going through the roof. Everyone wanted frozen food because everyone's eating at home. So that was how COVID helped us pivot. But it's all about pivoting. You just got to see what the market's doing at the time and just make radical pivots.
Yeah, but the 7 factors that I talk about for a market, those are still the same.
It's still the same.
So it's still, where are jobs and population growing? What's landlord friendly? What's business friendly? Where do you have familiarity, or a trusted team member with familiarity? Where's a diversified local economy? And the markets that were strong in those areas before are still strong. Mm-hmm. And they were still strong in COVID. And we saw too that the ones that didn't have a strong local or didn't have a diversified local economy, right? So you want to be in a market that has not just you don't want to be in like the one factory town, right? When the one factory closes down, then the town becomes a ghost town, not good for real estate or any other business in that community. You want to be in a town that not just has several companies, but has several industries, right? So when the industry if one industry is troubled, you still have other industries. So what we saw with COVID, right, hospitality and travel were very, very impacted. So areas like Vegas and Orlando that were all about hospitality, they struggled so much in COVID. And that's why you want to be in a diversified economy. So those you're most likely to have success. So all those factors that I talked about on that Bigger Pockets interview, they still are the same, but depending on what's happening in that particular market, right? It could be the population and jobs might be going in one direction or in the other. So you just have to be keeping an eye on the data.
Yeah. And the beauty of real estate is that there are constant cycles. And a cycle might be happening in one part of the country, and the opposite cycle might be happening in the different side. So there's always, each location is
not one market.
It's not one market. Real estate is not one market. That's the beauty of it.
Do you have some go-to data sources, or you're at the Marcus and Millichap level at this point?
Yeah, definitely look at Marcus and Millichap. I look at Google questions about what's landlord friendly, tenant friendly, what's strong, looking if there's a market you're interested in, looking at the local chamber of commerce to see what's happening in that market, where things are happening.
U-Haul has great statistics. You can see where people are moving to and moving from.
Yeah, where the one-way U-Haul's going. City data, looking at crime statistics and grade schools, looking at where the best school districts. So it's a lot of different data points, but looking at different areas to find the right market and then submarkets.
Awesome, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, so one more question, one
I
more
have a
question.
question. I do.
James.
All right,
Yes,
James?
hi, folks. Good evening. Sorry, I came in a little bit late this evening, and I didn't get to hear your whole uh, presentation. So, but I do have a question for you. I look in, my primary focus is in multifamily, and in your opinion, where do you see the market phase? What phase of the market cycle do you think that we're in right now? I mean, I'm seeing prices in my markets that are just astronomical.
Yeah.
um, and I'm just I hear that that it's a bubble that'll burst anytime. I mean, what's your thoughts on where we are in the market cycle?
And where are you looking specifically?
I primarily focus in central northern Florida areas.
Okay. So there are general trends, right? So in residential, the the cap rates have been compressing. So the market values have been going up and up in a lot of different ways. And so there is a cycle, and we've just been going up. So I think we are due for a cap rate compression. We are due for prices to go down. But what's going to cause that? It's hard to know. It's hard to say if we're in a bubble per se. It's very different. We're really in a different place from where we were in 2008. Right? So 2008, there were people were getting money that had no business getting money, right? If you had a pulse, if you could fog up a mirror, they would give you a mortgage. And so anybody could get any type of money, and that changed. So, but since then, right afterwards, that you really have to qualify for the debt that you have. So it's the people who have debt right now are able to do it. We've also had a lot of there's a lot of money that's coming in from different countries where people don't need to have as much of they don't care if they're making much or any at all. So they can have much lower returns, and they're okay with that. And that's been putting pressure on the prices as well. There's been a very low supply with COVID, and that also puts pressure. So there's a lot, and then and not to mention that the government has just thrown in trillions of dollars into the economy and given all these people free money that has to go somewhere, right? So all of this, like everyone has all this, so like there's all this like literally trillions of dollars that was put into the economy, and that also puts upward pressure. So all of those things are putting pressure on the prices. So when is it going to go down? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but I don't know if we necessarily have the characteristics of a bubble, in the sense that those prices are unjustified given the, like the people are paying for can't, they can't afford it. So it's really, I don't know if it means that you wait or you just go ahead and you get in the game right now. And if you're cash flowing, then you just, then that's good enough. You figure out if you can
That's the thing, yeah. If you do the numbers and the numbers make sense and you can cash flow, then and you can hold out through any downturn, then there's no reason not to go for it.
Yeah, I'm staying in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing, we just closed on a property in Atlanta. I thought we sold a property in Atlanta, and we just bought a new one. I was thinking a year ago, like, that's it, Atlanta's done. It's just like the prices are so high, but the numbers are still making sense.
We're still able to make money.
And we're seeing, like, I've been watching this area, Huntsville, Alabama. And, a couple of years ago, I thought, it's some backwater. People were saying, you want to come into a deal with us in Huntsville? And I'm like, no, doesn't make sense. But I mean, I've been watching friends do deal after deal after deal, and the numbers are still making sense. And it's one of these areas that's, you get the secondary and tertiary markets that are behind the curve. So you may have top of the market in Dallas, Atlanta, but you got these other markets that are, a year or 2 or 3 behind. So as maybe those top markets are peaking and maybe things are happening going a bit down there, you got these other ones coming up. So unless there's some horrible, economic fundamental
Well, it's hard to imagine more
crash.
than what last year, but
it's hard to imagine that anything does anything as bad as what happened the last year.
But because, eventually, you would think putting in the government printing trillions of dollars, that eventually that at some point we're going to have to pay that, and that's going to be repercussions. But I don't know what's going to happen. So a lot of people are saying, "Ooh, it's going to get really bad when it comes time to pay that bill." But I don't know. I never foresaw all the money printing that happened. So all of that has changed things. But if you're in Florida, as what's also happening with Florida is there are a lot of people that have been moving from these more expensive markets as people found out that they can work remotely. People are leaving the more expensive cities and they've been going to different markets. So a lot of people have been moving to Florida and the Carolinas and Texas and the warmer, cheaper places. Well, it's driving up the prices for the people that are there. But if you're coming from California, you're like, oh my God, I can get a house for only $400,000. And no, that's nothing. And somebody there is like, wait, this house should be 200,000 or 150,000. So it's all relative. But so a lot of the Florida, California money, the New York, California money is driving prices up in the other markets. I don't know if that helps you, but
Yeah.
Anyway, stay in the game.
I heard you say you're going to stay in the game. So yeah,
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Keep my face out there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, look.
One question. I know you're coming to an end. Sorry.
Are you guys going to stay? Are you guys going to stay for breakout rooms, or you guys have to go?
Then we're gonna hop off because we do have to get ready for our trip.
Right.
We'll answer if there's any last questions. We'll answer them for sure.
Okay. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, this is more on there, and so what are you working on, and what does your investor profile look like?
For me?
No,
for them.
you guys are in the syndication business. Yeah, Monick and Peter.
What are we working on, and then what are we?
What does your investor profile look like? Yeah.
Okay.
So right now we're working on an industrial deal that's coming up, and that is it's a public company. It's a sale leaseback. It's a public company that makes boilers for power plants, and they retrofit power plants and
make them more green.
Yeah, so they got a whole lot of contracts with the Biden administration. They're going to be coming in if the money's there. They're going to be coming in to basically clean up all these horrible polluting power plants over the next 10, 20 years. And so they're in need of cash to ramp up their production. So they're selling their property and
but continuing to use it.
So we're doing a sale leaseback with them. They'll sign a new 20-year lease with a couple of 10-year extensions, and the rent goes up 2% every month. And every year. Triple net lease, which means that as landlords, we don't pay property taxes, we don't pay insurance, we don't pay utilities, we don't pay repairs, maintenance, upkeep.
Tenants pay all that.
Tenants pay all that. So that's why we find in especially in turbulent times, these kind of deals are actually simpler, and they don't leave as much to chance as having like lots and lots of tenants who are moving around, older buildings where things can go wrong. So that's what we've got in the works right now. And what was the
our
Second.
tenant profile, or sorry, investor profile. So with regards to investors, we work with accredited or unaccredited investors, but they have to be sophisticated enough to understand it and obviously able to pay in our minimum. And then also just, so we're all about relationships for life, and we want to work with people that we like and get along with and can just work with forever. So, just like great people, great, wonderful people to work with, easygoing, and people who are smart and understand the deals and are, just really pleasant. So that's what we're looking for.
Awesome. Thanks.
Any more questions?
And thank you, Claudia.
So look, I just want to say, Monique and Peter, man, thank you so much. You added so much value to this meetup, and I just want to say, like Claudia said, enjoy your vacation. Well deserved. I know you guys have a great time. Have you guys been in Italy before?
Yes.
Long time
But
ago.
I haven't been, I think I was last there 2001, 2002. And
Oh.
I was in Rome for a weekend. So it's been a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to spend 2 weeks in Tuscany and then a week in Prague.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
you guys
so
have a
not
great,
just
great
Italy.
time.
Czech Republic too.
Which
Yeah,
we
yeah.
too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I know you guys will have a great time, and thank you so much for being on here.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having us, Aaron. It's been
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the discount too. I think everybody's going to love that. I would implore anybody to use that discount to go to that retreat, and you might see me on that retreat. I'm really looking forward to something like that. And yeah, pack your bags. I know I know it can be a last minute thing right there. So
Put the hat on, pack our bag.
exactly.
We're
Yeah, but
very lean packers, but we travel a lot, so we have it kind of down to an art form, but we still have some packing to do.
We got it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. I'm enjoying this community. Like seeing your smiling faces, and hope to catch you all again.
Yeah, you guys are welcome anytime to come back. If you guys want to be guest speakers, you know where to hit me up at. So yeah, I would love for you guys to be guest speakers in the future as well.
Oh, Claudia just came back from Prague.
Oh yeah?
I know, I'm excited.
We were out there and we were worried, that they were gonna like close things, or like, no, they're open. I mean, back and where, like it's still you can travel, and I think I hear Italy too. You can travel, and like the borders are open, so you can just drive. So good luck. Should be fun.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Good night.
Take care. Okay, so let's quickly go to roll call. So this is for anybody who's new, who wants to get into real estate, or different groups that can be joined of. So let me start with military, active duty passive income. We had Mike Foster on here a couple of weeks ago as a guest speaker. And active duty passive income, look it up. It's a great community. White Feathers is also a great community to join it's a military affiliated program. Also the War Room Mastermind group that me, Claudia, and Kenneth and others are part of. So look up the War Room Mastermind group. We have both co-founders, David and Stuart, in the last couple of weeks. So if you want information, please go to my YouTube page and look at the information from those guys, or just hit me up for it. Also, Bill Allen's seven-figure flipping is a great program as well. For civilians, biggerpockets.com. Great, and a lot of great information. Good networking as well. Biggerpockets.com. Make Real Estate Real with Jamal King. That's a big community that's growing. A $1,000 course, goes A to Z in real estate. I know that Shamil authorizes. She likes it. That's Bud texting me right now. And let's see if you guys have any programs, and also what am I forgetting? The GOB network, of course. So look up the GOB network for apartment syndicators online. If you want information, please hit me up. or Jim Biggs up, or James, or Lawrence, or others. So, of course, the GOB network, love it, love it. It's a growing business, and if you want to learn about apartment syndication, GOB network is the go-to place. All right, so let me